Hello, це English.No.Limits, а я засновниця онлайн-школи англійської мови. Усі посилання на наші соцмережі ти можеш знайти в описі під відео. І зараз поговоримо про найвагоміший аспект в англійській – це listening, оскільки він об'єднує усі решту 5 аспектів і показує результат вашої роботи. Адже важливо не тільки почути, що до вас говорять, але й зрозуміти сенс слів. Як прокачати його? Я впевнена, ти знаєш відповідь на це питання. Звісно, слухати подкасти, дивитися фільми, дивитися мультфільми і дивитися відео на різні тематики. Особливо важливо дивитися саме те, що суміжне з вашою сферою діяльності. А сьогодні подивимося огляд на автомобіль. Для нас не важлива марка, модель, технічні особливості. Нам важлива нова лексика. Деякі слова, я впевнена, ти знаєш, адже ми їх розбирали в попередніх відео в TikTok. Якщо не бачив або не бачила, заглянь в опис під відео.
This is the new Rolls-Royce Cullinan Black Badge. There are premium SUVs like a bit.
SUV – це Sport Utility Vehicle, що перекладається як практичний спортивний автомобіль. Це більш маркетинговий термін, і зазвичай кузов є універсал, а також часто система має повного приводу.
BMW X7, which will cost them around £80,000. Then there are luxury SUVs like the Bentayga, which will cost them around £150,000.
З'являється фраза cost them around, що перекладається як коштувати їм певну суму, тобто близько стільки-то грошей.
And then there's the Rolls-Royce Cullinan SUV, which is far more reassuringly expensive.
Reassuringly expensive, що означає заспокійливо дорогий, тобто ціна викликає довіру до якості.
It starts from £265,000 or £305,000 if you want the Black Badge. This car with options, 380 grand per ching. Let's talk about the Cullinan's design. Now, it's an absolutely massive.
Беремо приклад з ведучого і замість того, щоб говорити big, використовуємо слово massive, що означає величезний, масивний. І є ряд синонімів, таких як immense, colossal, enormous, huge.
Thing, isn't it? Look at it, it's huge.
Бачимо, що від теорії до практики один крок, і massive змінили на huge. Звертаємо увагу на наступну фразу down here though, що означає однак тут внизу. Слово though дуже tricky word, але для нас це не проблема, адже ми це розібрали в попередніх відео.
Down here though, being the Black Badge, we've got a sports exhaust on a Rolls-Royce, goddammit. The exhaust pipes within there are real, look. I'm proving it with the oversized car wow stick of truth. This is the first ever SUV, all four-wheel drive, since Rolls-Royce was founded back in 1906. In fact, Rolls doesn't call this an SUV, it's called an XUV, as in luxury SUV. I don't know, I'm getting all confused.
Стикаємося з новим терміном XUV, як автор зазначає, це luxury cars, і це і поєднання розкоші та потужності для водіння на дорозі та поза нею.
Anyway, they say it's the first SUV with a three-box design.
Three-box design – це є трьохоб'ємна конструкція. Якщо ми говоримо про структуру машини, то це коли машину ділимо на три частини. Капот, тобто двигун, салон та багажник.
Like a normal saloon car. The first box is the bonnet.
Слово bonnet, ми з ним стикалися, і ми його вчили якраз у одному із відео, що означає капот, тобто місце призначене для двигуна.
Second box is this part here. The third box, which is supposed to be saloon-like, is this bit here. It's supposed to be like a boot. I'm not really seeing it. Do you know what I'm seeing?
Don't say it.
But I've got to say it. I've got to say what I think. It looks a bit like a London cab.
Ми бачимо, що він вимовляє супершвидко фразу, і важливо її розкласти типу на частинки для того, щоб зрозуміти сенс. It looks a bit like a London cab.
I was trying to hold that in.
І наступна фраза I was trying to hold that in. Тобто я намагаюся тримати це в собі. Я намагаюся мовчати.
Rolls probably aren't going to lend me a car again for saying that. But it kind of does, doesn't it? Sorry. Still, it's massive. It's huge. Look at it. And you can see the relationship to the Phantom as well. Actually, underneath the skin, it's pretty...
Далі ми бачимо чудову фразу, яку варто запам'ятати. Це underneath the skin, що означає під шкірою дослівно. А якщо використовувати в літературній мові, означатиме глибше або внутрішня сутність чогось або когось.
Much the same as the Phantom. It's based on the Phantom platform. So anyone who says, oh, it's just a BMW X7, because after all, BMW owns Rolls-Royce, it's not. They're wrong. It's a Rolls, a proper Rolls, built in Britain, in Goodwood, by men and their hands. Look at the front of it. Wow, it's huge. Apparently, the light design here with this thick brow is supposed to look like the brow of a Saxon warrior. Okay then. When you first sit in a colour nun, it's a bit of a weird experience. The way that you have that huge Rolls-Royce bonnet, but it's just even higher than in any other Rolls-Royce. The interior feels just like a Rolls-Royce should do. Impeccable quality.
Вираз impeccable quality, що означає бездоганна якість, і бачимо префікс «im». Для того, щоб розуміти, як вживати префікси, теж не забуваємо глянути відео. Сьогодні буде багато посилань на чудову лексику.
It's all just so lovely, and there's metal everywhere. Metal, 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 metal. Then there's super soft leather, leather, leather here as well, leather. And this being the black badge, you get carbon fibre here, carbon fibre there, and here as well. Then there's the yellow piping you get with the black badge model.
Фраза yellow piping – це декоративна смуга, тобто це якийсь окрас, окантовка.
As well, which just sets off the interior. It is glorious.
Слово glorious – це чудовий варіант, якщо ви хочете описати своє захоплення чимось, коли ви хочете сказати, що це величне, розкішне, чудове, і має інші синоніми, як magnificent, marvelous.
Though I have found a couple of cheap bits of plastic.
Далі бачимо фразу cheap bits of plastic, що означає дешевий. І слово cheap, воно взагалі має два контексти. Позитивне і негативне. Позитивне – це коли ви говорите про доступність чогось. В такому випадку можна використати синонім affordable, або якщо ви говорите в негативному контексті, то можете сказати poor quality.
And they're all just round here. The controller for the steering wheel, the stalks.
Звертаємо увагу на слово stalks. Взагалі перекладається як стебла. А в нашому випадку – машинній лексиці як важіль керування.
That's all that I can complain about, because other than that, yeah, it's lovely. There's decent practicality too, so storage.
Слово storage у даному випадку це є місце зберігання. Якщо ми будемо говорити про якусь продуктову лексику, то це буде склад.
Cup holders. Little glove box.
Little glove box. Glove box – це є бардачок.
Decent door bins.
Decent door bins перекладається як пристойні відсіки у дверях, тобто місце, де щось можна зберігати.
I'm happy about that. I'm also happy about this. The grab handles.
Grab handle – це ручка для тримання. Звертаємо увагу на слово grab, яке буде дослівно перекладатися як хапати, спіймати щось.
Not your usual plastic crap.
Usual plastic crap, звертаємо увагу на останнє слово, використовується більше у неформальній лексиці, означає якась нісенітниця, дурниця, або акцентуємо увагу на тому, що щось є неважливим, поганим, неякісним.
Soft leather and metal. Oh yeah. Living the Rolls-Royce lifestyle. The rear of the cullinan is
Rear говориться про задній, або тил, або зворотній бік.
just as luxurious as the front seats. It's not quite as roomy.
It's not quite as roomy, maybe, as the. І далі продовження речення. Звертаємо увагу на as, використовується для порівняння. І слово roomy, тобто просторний.
Maybe as the phantom, but who's complaining? I've got loads of room.
Loads of room. Loads – чудовий відповідник для того, щоб сказати багато. І room – це кімната, але в даному випадку перекладемо як простір. Багато простору.
Loads of headroom as well. If you need to carry 3, you can. That's fine. It's a very wide car. You'll be able to fit 3 people across this, no problem at all. You can carry babies. Look, there's a sign that says you can there for your ISOFIX points. Brilliant. If you need to carry long items, look, you've got through loading there. Practical, you see. It's an SUV. Sorry, XUV. This is a bit uninteresting though. I've seen all this before, not particularly special. Yeah, great. I'll tell you what is unusual though, the way you sit back from the main door and your head's near the quarter light.
Quarter light в автомобільному контексті означає невелике трикутне віконце.
Sort of reminds me of a black cab. Oh, I've done it again. Definitely not going to get another Rolls Royce, am I? Bugger.
Слово bugger є розмовним і використовується у британському мовленні як лайка для того, щоб виразити розчарування, роздратування, незадоволеність.
Anyway, let's check out the boot. Oh, that's an annoying thing, isn't it? Look at this. I can close the door electrically by pressing this button. But I can't open it by pressing the button. I have to do it manually.
Manually, тобто у ручний спосіб, механічний.
Now, Rolls might argue that, well, someone's going to come and open the door for you because you're very important. But occasionally they might not. And so you have to struggle. And because it's mounted here, the hinge, it's really hard to open it there because you have to put a lot of pressure on.
Pressure тиск, тобто я повинен прикласти зусилля.
You have to push there instead. Now the reason you can't open it electrically is because if you press a button it opens up and hits a cyclist or something, someone might sue Rolls-Royce. Whereas if you physically opened it yourself, then it's your own fault. Yeah, anyway, boot. The capacity is
Capacity – місткість.
560 litres, which is more than a Bentley Bentayga, but less than an Aston Martin DBX. And if you click on the pop-out banner up there, you can watch my in-depth video on the Aston Martin DBX. So check out the boot. Lovely carpeting.
Carpet. Ми знаємо як килим, carpeting, килимове покриття.
The parcel shelf.
Parcel shelf, якщо перекладати дослівно і не знати, що це є автомобільний контекст, то перекладемо як полиця для посилок. Але в даному випадку це є ось ця перегородка, яка закриває багажник і салон.
Is extremely expensive. Yeah, I won't be chucking this into the bushes.
Bushes – кущі.
Absolutely not. Can't afford to do that. It's really handy that you got this that you can sit on. You can fold in the seats electrically, of course. Just takes its time. There you go. Then you can fill it full of stuff and push things to the front, such as the parcel shelf. Take it out of temptation's way, because I was just itching to give it a slinging into the bushes.
Розберемо фразу «It was just itching to give it a slinging into the bushes», що означає «мені аж кортіло жбурнути це в кущі», але слово «itch» – це свербіж. І ось це слово «кортіло» і «свербіж» – це просто два варіанти перекладу одного слова.
You might be wondering, what's going on here? This is going to be hard to load stuff with that there. What's going on with that? It's all a bit odd, isn't it? Well, I'm going to come back to that later in this video as part of the cool things on this Cullinan, of which there are many, as you'll find out now. Being the black badge model, this car has various elements that
Various – чудовий синонім до слова different.
would normally be in silver shiny chrome in black chrome. Grille surround, spirit of ecstasy, this thing, that bit, this part, that part, and the Rolls-Royce badges. Also, black badge models come pre-selected with black paint, which is £7,500, and the pinstriping, which
Pinstriping – це є смужка.
is a further £1,100. Now, when I say pre-selected, you still have to pay for them, but they're just automatically ticked, because that's how the black badge car should look. Though you can still have it any colour that you want. Confusing. If a normal VIN plate just isn't posh enough for you, then
Певно відоме вам слово posh, що означає розкішний, елегантний.
you can get this special one here, which is more like a plaque. It will cost you over £600 though. The black badge model also gets upgraded alloy wheels.
Alloy wheels – це є легкосплавні колеса. Wheel – колесо.
Have 22 inches as standard instead of the normal puny 21s. There's upgraded brakes as well with, oh my gosh, red brake calipers. The first time ever on a Rolls. As with other Rollses though, you have those centre caps which stay the right way up when you're driving along. Looks really cool. The infotainment system is a reworked version of BMW's previous generation iDrive, so it's altogether pretty decent.
Pretty decent. В даному випадку слово pretty означає досить, досить пристойно.
If you look though, the images of the vehicle are of the Cullinan. You also have the really cool surround view camera system, once again from BMW, when you can look all around the car and look, at least it is a Cullinan, yet again. When you turn off the car, it does this. It hides the infotainment system away.
Звертаємо увагу на поєднання двох слів в одне – infotainment system, що перекладається як інформаційно-розважальна система.
Which is kind of cool, but I do wish it did that thing that the Bentley systems do now, where you can rotate the dash to show analog dials or just wood. Now, if you want to see my full in-depth video review of the Bentley Flying Spur, just click up there. Speaking of the Bentley Flying Spur, that has part digital dials, as does this car, look. Looks traditional, but the actual rev counter and everything is a digital image. Nice touch. For £900, you can get the optional lamb's wool carpets.
Lamb's wool carpets. Ми знаємо останнє слово, розберемося. Lamb wools, wool – вовна, lamb – овеча. Овеча вовна.
Look how thick and luscious that is.
Слово luscious – соковитий.
Do you know what? I could use that as a bath mat at home. I think I might just take it. If you want your own personal seating for when you're at the races, you can pay Rolls-Royce £13,000 to have this optional boot seating installed. Isn't it glorious? I like how it's electrically operated, though sadly it is only up to this point, and then you have to manually put the backs up
Чуємо фразу backs up, що означає спинки.
yourself. I'm too rich to do this. Now be gone. It's better. For £6,500 you can have the shooting star headliner, which has up to 1,340 different LEDs into the headlining, and it mimics the constellation of stars
It mimics the constellation of stars, імітує сузір'я.
over the Goodwood factory. It's lovely. And there's 8 different shooting star animations. As with the Phantom, the Cullinan has umbrellas built into the rear doors. An idea that Skoda copied. In fact, we've got a Skoda Scala long-term car, and this is the umbrella from the door of that car, so I'm just going to swap them over. There we go. That should do. And keep this. No one will know. So I've got this and a new bath mat. Brilliant. Black badge models have this little infinity symbol about the place, and it's a reference to a record-breaking speedboat which was driven, captained by Malcolm Campbell back in the 1930s. That was powered by Rolls-Royce engines, and it's just a symbol of power and history and stuff. You can get the Cullinan with a tow hitch,
A tow hitch – фаркоп.
which is electrically deployed.
Deployed – розгорнуто, тобто в даному випадку з'явився фаркоп.
It costs you over £2,000, but then you can use your Rolls-Royce to tow a caravan.
Tow a caravan. Tow означає буксирувати.
Or more likely, a horse box. Fancy some fine dining in the back of your Rolls-Royce SUV? No problem, there are some electrically operated, exquisite
Exquisite – вишукані.
picnic tables. Oh, and if you pay an extra £5,000, you get a rear entertainment system. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And you can control the satellite navigation from here as well if you want to. The Cullinan gets self-leveling air suspension as standard. You can alter the ride height depending on how you want it. Also, it has 2 cameras just behind here which can read the road ahead, and it will set up the suspension specifically either firmer or softer,
Firmer or softer – твердіше або м'якше.
depending on what the camera sees. Also, you have active anti-roll bars to stop it leaning about too much in the corners. There's also rear wheel steering to make
Rear wheel steering – кермове управління задніх колес.
it a bit more manoeuvrable. But all these things you have on the Phantom. However, there are 2 buttons that you don't get on the Phantom that you only get on the Cullinan. And they're these: an off-road button which sets up things like the suspension, the
Suspension – підвізка.
steering, the
The steering – рульове керування.
gearbox,
The gearbox – коробка передач.
and the engine for going off-road.
The engine of going off-road – двигун для бездоріжжя.
There's also hill descent control to help you safely down a slope.
Down a slope – схил.
Obviously, there's lots and lots of things to like about this Cullinan, but it's not all perfect. And here's some annoying things about it. For instance, this clock, because it's black, you can't really see it from the driver's seat. I have no idea what time it is. I'm probably going to run over with this shoot. While it's wonderful that the Cullinan gets massage seats as standard with 8 different settings and 3 different intensities, it's a bit annoying where they've located the button, because when you're sat in your seat you can't actually see it to press it and get the right setting you want. It's a bit of an arse that as standard this SUV doesn't have rear seats that recline.
Recline – пам'ятаємо, що є крісла recliner, тобто ті, які розкладаються, а recline – це відкидати задню спинку назад.
If you want that, you have to pay extra for the opulence pack.
Pay extra – додатково доплачувати. Opulence pack – пакет розкоші.
It doesn't really matter for someone who can afford this kind of car. It's more just the hassle of having to tick
Hassle – клопіт.
one more box. You might forget. Rolls-Royce is very proud of the fact that its SUV has a wading depth of over ½ a metre. Now I'm going to put that into perspective for you, because a Range Rover has a wading depth of almost 1 metre. 1 metre. You could swim in 1 metre, not ½ a metre. In left-hand drive markets, you can get something called sanctuary seats, and that includes a glass panel which separates off the cabin from the boot, so that if someone opens the boot and it's freezing outside, you don't get cold. For some reason, you can't get it with right-hand drive cars. The Cullinan gets Rolls-Royce's 6.75 litre twin-turbo V12. Normally, it has 570 horsepower and 850 newton meters of torque, but in the black badge, you get 600 horsepower and 900 newton meters of torque, and it sounds a little bit more fruity when you rev it. Yes, that upgraded black badge sports exhaust,
Exhaust в автомобільній лексиці означає вихлоп.
just a bit more shouty.
Shouty – крикливий.
It's still ever so refined. Now it's time to find out what this Rolls-Royce Cullinan black badge is like to drive. So the first thing I'm noticing is the novelty
Novelty – новизна.
of being sat up this high in a Rolls-Royce. I can see why they built this thing. It's pretty obvious. It was a hole in their product lineup they just needed to fill. People love SUVs and people love Rolls-Royces. Combine the two and you have quite a few sales for such a normally niche brand and product. The black badge, that has something a little bit special going on. You see, it's got a, dare I say, it's sportier edge? Sounds a bit odd.
Odd – це чудове слово для новачків, які використовують завжди strange, дивно.
Rolls-Royce. In fact, there is a sports button in the car, but it doesn't say sport, it says low. It's low, it's just here. Now when I press that, you get different mapping for the throttle and the gearbox. And with the black badge, it's more aggressive than in any other normal Rolls-Royce. So it means that when I put my foot down, it just instantly takes off. If this wasn't a black badge model, it would have been smoother. The
Smoother – більш гладкий.
pickup. Also, the gears change with more ferocity when you're in this low mode and with more ferocity than
Ferocity – лютість.
they do in a normal Rolls-Royce Cullinan. The suspension is firmer as well in the black badge over the normal Cullinan, and the Cullinan's normal suspension anyway just feels a bit stiffer
Stiffer – жорсткіше.
than the Phantoms. It's not quite so wafty.
Wafty – хвилястий.
When you come onto a twisty section of road, this car does all right. It'll go around corners as well as you need it to, and of course you've got four-wheel drive grip. Another thing you notice with the black badge model is the exhaust more when you're driving. It's quite interesting, a Rolls-Royce making that sound. You don't expect it, but it's nice, and it's never obtrusive either.
Obtrusive – настирливий.
While the black badge may have a sportier edge than the normal Cullinan, it's still not sporty to drive as a Bentley Bentayga. And if you click on the pop-out banner up there, you can see my full in-depth video review of that SUV. I'd love to take it off-road,
Off-road – бездоріжжя.
but I can't. I can't risk it. I don't want to scratch the paintwork,
Scratch the paintwork – подряпати лакове покриття.
get hit with a bill to have it repaired. Oh, that's a good thing. The brakes are strong. They're smooth, they're progressive. There's a long travel to the pedal, but they do a good job of hauling this behemoth to a halt. It does feel like you're captaining a ship though, a little bit. But I kind of like it for that. It's got character, it's got style. Well, not so much style, it's got presence. Definitely presence. Style, it's debatable. Let's just get out of low mode and relax again. And now I can appreciate how quiet it is in here. Rolls-Royce has fitted this car with so much sound insulation. In fact, there's twice the weight of me in terms of soundproofing.
Soundproofing – звукоізоляція.
To this car, you've got double-glazing windows.
Double-glazing window означає склопакети.
You've also got foam in the tyres so you don't hear any road noise. That all makes this car brilliant for cruising on the motorway. So do the super comfy seats, which are almost infinitely adjustable.
Infinitely adjustable – плавно керується.
I've back-to-back this car with the Phantom, and the Phantom is definitely slightly more comfortable.
Slightly – злегка.
It feels more luxurious still than this, but that's not taking anything away from the Cullinan. It's still very luxurious in its own right. You can just chew up the miles in this thing. Just ignore the fact it enters 17 miles per gallon, but who cares? You've got loads of money. You own a Rolls-Royce. It's not a problem. The problem is having to stop to fill it up. Although it's got a huge tank, so you don't have to do it all that often considering. It's quite interesting driving it on these narrow roads.
Narrow roads – це вузькі дороги. Narrow – вузький.
Can it cope with these bends?
Cope with these bends. Cope with – це справитися, вирішити питання, а bends – це вигини.
That's fine. Oh, here's one little test for the car. Will people wait for it? Bearing in mind I'm
Bearing in mind – чудова фраза для повсякденного мовлення, маючи на увазі.
in a Rolls-Royce. Now, you could have left me more space than that, couldn't you? Thank you, kind sir. Is it because you are jealous? Ooh, jealous eyes.
Jealous eyes – ревниві очі.
Little does he know this is not my car. I'm just borrowing it for a few days to film for you guys. Oh, and again, width is posing a bit of a problem. I'll tell you another problem with the Cullinan, and that is trying to fit it into a normal size parking bay. So here I have a car park with some reasonably generously sized bays. Can I fit in the entire bay without spilling out of it? Like a fat person in too small clothes. Let's have a look. Gone to 360-degree camera. Oh, it looks like I've just about filled the gap, but I may have just squeezed in. Still, it might be a bit difficult if this car's parked next to me, because you can see where the doors open on this graphic. Still, that's a small price to pay for being able to drive one of these as your daily. So then, what's my final verdict on the Rolls-Royce Cullinan? Well, this is without doubt the most luxurious SUV I've ever been in. Also, it's very much an SUV that feels like a Rolls-Royce. The only thing is though, if you're not actually planning on going off-road, I wouldn't have this. I just have the Phantom because, in my opinion, it just looks better.
So that's it. Сподіваюся, це відео було для тебе справді інфотеймент. Не забувай підписатися та залишити коментар.